All right, so I'm going to go over stage one and processes all over again. So I'm going to just show you how to do a looped arch wire. And doing looped arch wire, again, 14,000 wire is ideal. And you always start off with straightening the wire. Watch your fingers. If this is curved, it's going to cut your finger. My finger's already cut a zillion times from fishing hooks. But no, I'm not sure whether you are getting this background or not. And let me change over the background to make it a little better. I think that's going to make it a little better because it's white. Okay. So again, starting to bend wire. Suppose this is where the circle is going to be, always with a flat beak. First bend, follow through with a round beak, and complete a circle. Okay. How big a circle you want depends on where you hold the wire as you bend the circle. If you hold it here, the circle will be smaller. If you hold it here, circle will be big. So after you make your first circle, then you mark the point of another circle, and this is where the other cusp circle is. And again, flat beak first, followed by making another circle, and that kind of completes a straight wire with two circles. Now, one other thing that we discussed before, if you notice this circle here, it's on the inside of the wire. When the circle is on the inside of the wire, patient cannot hook elastic. So that circle needs to be not on the inside, but it needs to be on the outside of the wire. So that's how it needs to be. Now the patient can hook elastic, and this is correct. It's on the outside as well. So I'm just exaggerating it just to show you where the cuspid circles are supposed to be. So let's begin again. I'm going to start making a looped arch wire. So again, your position for the cuspid circle is defined by where end of tube is and where the cuspid bracket is. But suppose this is where it is. So again, flat, first bend, followed by round, complete the circle, but go outside. Now remember my preference. My preference is I always start on the left and finish up on the right. So when I start on the left and finish on the right, the first cuspid circle is always on the outside and the last cuspid circle will always be inside. So now I'm arbitrarily making the looped arch wire. So imagine this to be on the mesial of the cuspid circle. So the first loop is going to be right at the cuspid circle, followed by a trapeze, okay? So this is the trapeze between the laterals and the canine. So followed that by with the flat end of the trapeze, which is going to sit in the bracket of the lateral. Then you have another trapeze between the central and the lateral on the left side, that is, followed by another loop. Now we are in the midline. We are approaching the midline. So this is a trapeze that's going to sit on the lower left, upper left central, and this is the midline. So you have a loop in the midline and a smaller loop because we have to worry about the frenum. and followed by another trapeze that is going to be on the upper right central. And about the same size as this. And remember what I always said, it doesn't have to be perfect, and they don't all have to be perfectly symmetrical or the same size or whatever. The goal here is to push the cuspid back into the extraction space or the space created by stripping. So now we have a trapeze that's going to sit in the lateral, and that's the last loop we're going to have. Every looped arch wire between canine and other canine has 5 loops. So now this is where the other circle is going to be. And remember, this time the circle is going to be on the outside, but outside of this wire. That means you have to make the bend on the inside of the main wire that I'm holding. Okay, so that essentially completes a looped arch wire. All that is left to do here is make sure that the wire is flat, which it is, because the way I bent it, you make sure that the distal ends are flat and expanded. Okay, you can round out these loops and trapeze to your liking of the arch, and that's what shapes the arch. Okay, so that's your arch wire. Expanded arch, and suppose this is where you're going to make your anchor bend, then your anchor bend is going up, since this is an upper arch, going up, and you will have equal amount of anchor bend on this side, and when you look at both sides they should be just about equal. Okay, so this anchor band, when engaged in the tubes, puts the arch wire about 10 to 15 millimeter from the incisal edge. Okay, so that will be moderate, this will be steep, and this will be slight. So essentially what the anchor bend does is, when you engage it, it wants to go back. So when you engage it, because it cannot go back, it's taking the teeth with it. And that's what intrudes the teeth. And that's what opens the bite. Okay? And the purpose of the looped arch wire is very simple. If this was the looped arch wire, this is the canine circle. Okay, and this is the other canine circle right there. However, potentially the canines should be somewhere here. Okay, with the bracket here and the bracket here. So now if you put this against it, okay, you will have to squeeze this wire so that this engages between the canine and the canine. See, now the wire is squeezed, so as you engage these other loops, it's creating tension on the cuspid, and that is what's going to distalize the canine in the mouth in the extraction space.